This suit does not fit me, and I'll be honest, I'm in physical pain right now. I can't breathe! Hello everybody, I am Ace Kruber, and today I'm still in pain. Today we are reviewing one of the most well-renowned Tennant stories / episodes, The Waters of Mars. So I asked you guys in the community tab what kind of Doctor Who modern series reviews you'd want to see, and I asked you to vote between 4 from the 4 different Doctors in this era. So Eccleston, Smith, Tennant and Capaldi. And we're going to just do them in the order which got the most votes and then which got the least votes. So we're going to just do them in that order. And the one that got over 50% of the votes was The Waters of Mars. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I've rewatched it, sat with a box of Maltesers and a Diet Coke. Other drinks are available. And yeah, we're going to just do it in the same sort of style as the Classic Who reviews. Kind of break down the TARDIS team, talk about the story, bits I liked, bits I didn't like. Then break down the individual characters before giving a final rating towards the end. So the TARDIS team is the 10th Doctor. And that is it. This is in the small gap where he had absolutely no companion whatsoever. And to be honest with you, I'm glad. I think this story works a hell of a lot better because he hasn't got a companion weighing him down. It is an entirely it's his decision. It's based around him as a character, and him as he's sort of coming towards the end of his face in this version of him. And he's kind of coming to the end of that and kind of picking up a few things and realising he's probably gone too far in a few cases. You know, the whole Time Lord Victorious thing's a very prominent theme throughout this episode. You know, the whole idea of a fixed point in time. That wouldn't have worked with a companion, so I'm really happy it is just Tennant in this story. So the synopsis. So the Doctor kind of lands on Mars, happy-go-lucky, not even looking at the time or date or any of the sort of details surrounding it. He just lands there, finds a Mars base, finds himself intruding on it. He gets brought in question before he realises that he's actually on the tipping point. On the exact day of a fixed point in time, one of the most important fixed points in time for human history. The crew of this base are going to die. Their base is going to blow up and take all of them with it. And because that happens, that will eventually lead to the human race expanding out into the stars and doing so many wonderful things, breeding with new races and expanding their knowledge and all that sort of thing. But this crew, all of them are so admirable and so wonderful and brilliant and human. And I think that's the scenario, because the Doctor is built on kindness, he's built on help, and he knows these people are going to die. He doesn't know how, he doesn't know the circumstances, but he knows they're going to die on this day. But he knows he needs to leave. He knows he cannot stay here because if he does, he will die. And he knows he cannot change anything. But you can see that mental torment going throughout him the whole episode. Like, it is affecting him. He's like, I really want to do something, because the natural instincts of the Doctor are that he wants to do something, but he just can't. Because if he does, and he explains this in the episode, that anything he does do, it leads to the actual thing happening. So nothing he can do can change it. Obviously, that's sort of objected by the end of it. The main points of the story are mainly the Flood, which are this sort of water species that infect people who touch the water on the planet. It's a very simple concept, and I think it works really, really well. It's such a simple concept because the main part of this story, the main chunk of it, the main power behind this story is the idea of the fixed point, and the idea of the fixed point contradicting with what the Doctor's values actually hold. The Doctor wants to save people, the Doctor needs to save people to keep his own sanity. And at the same time, this is a fixed point in time that needs to happen, and that's the laws he's been brought up on as a child. So how does he go about that? And eventually it works out with him going, well, the Time Lords are dead, so I'm in control. And that ego, that power is scary. And the Doctor realises this when Adelaide Brooke shoots herself when she gets back home, is that actually he has gone too far. He was sticking to his own moral code, but not sticking to the code of time and space itself. And that is such a clever concept. The Flood, the idea of the monster, great monster. I don't think ever needs to appear again, but it was just a sort of, I don't know how to put it. So if you're having like a sandwich, the main thrill of a sandwich of what is in the sandwich. The Flood in this episode is the bread. The bread is just what transports the desired things to you. That's terrible. That's a terrible way of putting it. But you get my point. The Flood are just there to carry the story, to give it a reason to exist, and give it a monster and all that sort of thing. But the actual main weight of this story comes at the result of that. And I really like that. The idea for the Flood was brilliant. It's hard to really sum it up. I pretty much love this story, every second of it. The direction from Graham Harper, the story by Russell T Davies, I genuinely, really, thoroughly love this. I will talk more about this, really in particular with certain characters. But yeah, thoroughly impressed with the whole sort of story. It was very simple to understand, but very complex in its underlying tone. And when you understand that complexity, the inner workings of how much of a masterpiece this story is really comes out. Moving on to characters, the 10th Doctor, played by David Tennant. This is by far one of his best performances because this is him definitively as the Doctor. A lot of people point out that towards the end of this episode, the arrogance, that's where that comes in for the end of time. And although I don't like it in the end of time, I don't mind it here. His transition from, because at heart, all he wants to do throughout the episode is save these people. That's never changed once. It's the approach to that. It's sticking to the law of time. And that's what's changed. That's the difference. And him, it's powerful. I think I still get chills every time when the rocket explodes and Tennant's just lying on the ground in his spacesuit, looking at the base, hearing all these voices, and he's hearing himself, and you can just hear the Doctor saying, "I'm the last of the Time Lords, they all died," and all that sort of thing. And he decides, and he appears, and he helps fix up the base, and he helps save them. And although Adelaide Brooke tries to kill them, kill the crew and themselves and fix history, like Tennant is supposed to be doing, Tennant is objecting to that, and he's going, right, okay, no, we're going to save you all. Which I really like that, because about 10 minutes prior to that, it was Adelaide Brooke who wanted to be saved no matter what, and Tennant was going, no, that's not possible, the laws of time won't allow it. And now the roles are flipped. I like that. Good storytelling, brilliant storytelling, but very good for Tennant's character. This would have been a really decent end to his story, and I'm glad it was towards the end of his tenure. I really like that lead in, because obviously it just leads straight into the end of time, which isn't the greatest of stories, but I think this is probably, this is his last big story, and my god is it brilliant for him as a character. So yeah, excellent job from Tennant, blew it out the park, but also the writing for the Doctor was excellent as well, so absolutely no faults there. The character of Adelaide Brooke was one of the main ones, and Lindsay Duncan, I believe it is, who plays her, incredible. Just thoroughly incredible. What a brilliant actress she is. Putting forward a very compelling performance. Who, if you're looking at it for the first time, you could be thinking, oh, this is like a character who's appeared before, because of how much of a connection straight away and how the Doctor and her bounce off each other. She's not a companion, she's not that, but she's the leader of the base, and she has the most interactions with the Doctor, and those interactions are powerful, meaningful, and brilliant overall. And there's no better way to sum up that than anything else. I think it's so well put together and so well thought out, and you can really tell when some actual passion has not only gone into an episode's writing, but also the performance from an actor. She clearly was so happy to be in Doctor Who, and she was clearly there to do the best job she could, and it genuinely really shows. The Flood as villains, again, were just kind of filler to get the episode moving to where the main sort of story and the main theme lies, but nevertheless, the Flood are terrifying, the direction around them and all that sort of thing. The crackled effect on the mouth, perfect. I love the fact that the inners of the even the teeth are just blacked, so you can't actually see anything, it's just the water coming out. The shots of them standing with their back to the camera with the water just leaking out of them, and the ones of them actually transforming to the ones of them shaking, it's always just slightly out of focus, whether it be it's focusing on a different character with the person shaking in the background, or it's behind a stream of water so you can't quite see it. You can never quite see the transformation. That's what's perfect. If it was a bit because we've had this kind of thing before in the past where it kind of shows it's slowly fading into you don't want to see that. I want to see it from a distance. It's a very horror type feel. They felt like zombies, and they were clever. The 10th Doctor even pointed out one of the main features of this monster is that water is patient, water will wait. The mountains, the erosion of earth and all that sort of thing, it's all down to water, and water in itself is patient. It can wait. And as you saw, they never ran, really. They chased a few people out, but sort of the middle of it when they were standing, the two blokes were standing outside that door, and when something started to happen, they didn't run away. They slowly paced themselves and walked because they knew, they were confident, and it was such a unnatural thing that just really freaked me out. I love the idea of the fact that one drop of water can get you. I'm glad they showed that as well. They kept saying, one drop of water, that's all you need to be infected. And that one lad, just one drop on his eye, and that's it, and he was gone. Like that, and it was scary. It's a really scary concept, but it's a scary concept that really bloody works. The one criticism I do have of it, there is a very clear shot of Gadget, the sort of robot thing, going through a stream of water, who then goes into the TARDIS, who then goes onto Earth and is just left there. So the whole idea of being absolutely 100% sure that the water can knock it onto Earth may have been lost. It's pretty annoying because the whole story wraps up perfectly, and there's that one thing that I was just on rewatch, I was going, how does that work then? I wish that had just been explained, maybe the TARDIS, when it stood into the TARDIS, maybe that kind of destroyed it and registered it as sort of a foreign item and something that shouldn't be there, and just removed it or burnt it out or something. It was implied that the Doctor could use steam and heat to wipe them out. The Flood's connections with the Ice Warriors, didn't expect that. I completely forgot about that the first time round, and when the Doctor mentioned it twice, I love the fact that he's going, well, the Ice Warriors used to, use obviously with the ice and all that sort of thing, Mars, And he goes, well, maybe they found something and wanted to bury it away and freeze it and never let it out. And that's such a clever thing. I was like, oh, they're using the Ice Warriors as a story element. Even the Ice Warriors have never appeared in New Who at this point. It's a great way of reintroducing them. It would have been nice to see that reference maybe in Empress of Mars in Series 10. Maybe the Flood should have been referenced there as a sort of backhand type thing, you know? That would have been great, but no, I don't think it would have. So that's a shame. The rest of the crew were pretty good. They were enjoyable. All well acted. They're all from different places on Earth, so they all had different accents. It makes sense. You know, it's a big space crew, it's a big first sort of voyage crew, and I think that worked, having them all from different areas of the world. They all had different personalities. In my opinion, I didn't feel too connected to them, not so much to the fact that it was, you know, like Impossible Planet or Satan Pit level, where I genuinely felt proper emotion to some of them. But saying that obviously that's not because it's not stretched over 2 parts, but from what we were given, I enjoyed their performances. I think they added to the story. I think it definitely, some of the performances were dead good on there. There's nothing that stood out as like a bit weird. There was no bad performances, there was no bad writing for these. They all got a decent amount of time to shine, especially that one girl who, when she transferred into the Flood and she was stuck in that room and she knew she was going to die and she turned around and put a screen of her daughters on. Oh my god, the feels, like I just got like so emotional. I was like, oh my god, this is horrible. And yeah, that's pretty much what I want to say about the crew. In terms of the episode, there are some brilliant best bits that I'm sure you're aware of. My favourite is the entire sequence of where Tennant walks out of the base and all you can hear, and it keeps cutting back to these different things, but it's implied that he can hear this as well. Like, he is hearing all these things and he's hearing all these people dying, and then the Doctor's theme kicks in when he's thinking about the Time Lords and all that sort of thing, and oh my god. Not just the Doctor's theme, may I add, the theme from, I believe it's Turn Left as well, with the piano. That was it's so eerie and so creepy, but it's got like a hidden mystery behind it, and I thought it was such a clever use. And Murray Gold's score in this episode, my god, on point, perfect, like really, really good. And you know what? I think you can probably tell where I'm going with this, the fact that I've had no negatives about anything, and that's it. The story for me was thoroughly entertaining throughout. There was no points where I felt bored. There were no points where I felt like this is dragging a little bit. For a 62-minute episode, that's pretty darn good. I think they all did excellent. They all did excellent jobs. The story was simple enough to understand, but the inner lyings and the inner theme beneath it was brilliant. The references to the Ice Warriors, using the Dalek invasion from the previous series as a minor story point to the whole fixed point definition, was perfect. Have I said any negatives? No, I haven't. So I'm going to have to give The Waters of Mars a 10 out of 10. Thoroughly deserving in my opinion. I believe this is probably one of my favourite episodes of Doctor Who of all time. It's brilliant, and I think today's rewatch for me just proved me of that. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. Have you seen Waters of Mars though? If you have, tell me what you think in the comments below. I'd love to see them. So hopefully we're going to do some more New Who reviews as well as classic reviews, kind of balance them and see what people enjoy the most. We'll kind of focus more on them. So yeah, please do leave some suggestions for New Who episodes or classic Who episodes you'd like me to review in the future. But yeah, that's pretty much that. In the meantime, please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, comment below for any more suggestions in the future, subscribe to the channel with notifications on if you haven't already, check out the Patreon if you want to support the channel, the Discord server if you want to gush about Doctor Who 24/7 like myself, and I will see you all next time. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.